This was my race. It was completely action-packed, as you'll find out. See a bunch of people made it 3 wide through here. I held back like in second gear here because I was worried about chaos in the first corner, so I just kind of took it easy. But as I see, other people didn't take it easy. And then I was like, you know, forget this. So as you see, look at my window here. I'm up on the curb. That was almost contact there. Oh boy. You can see in the in my driver's side mirror, I had a mirror full of car. And then you also see in the next video, you probably see it. I had action, action, action up until like 3 laps to go. And most of the time I have to pass the same cars because I'd screw up and catch up, screw up. And I was going almost 2 seconds faster on a clear track by myself. So then when I had to like follow behind somebody, I was really struggling because this car, you see Don Queen up in the air, up and away in my beautiful balloon. Let's go back. I'll go back. I'll rewind that. Watch this. You'll see the car in front, purple car, go up in the air. Watch. See if it shows it. Oh, he's already up in the air. See him? Right straight ahead. Managed to pick up a spot there. And I was doing pretty good. I think at this point I was already up to like, I worked my way up from like 37th to 20th or something like that. 22nd. And then I made 2 mistakes, well, 1 mistake. And then I made another mistake and then caught back to the back of the pack and then fell back again. It was, this car is very difficult to drive in the fact that it's got horrible straight line speed. So I have to make up my time in the corners where other people are struggling in the corners. Then I have to like let off. So let's see, that's the first video I made, a couple of them. There was Wilson ahead of me. Jeremy's ahead of Wilson. And Kevin is on the bottom there in the green. Wow, look how tight that was. Let's go back and take another look at that. Very tight. Oh! My God. I had a lot of that in this race. Tons of that. It's a miracle that there was no contact ever. I let off here. I could have tried to make it to that hole to the left, but I let off a little bit, and then I let off here going in the corner. I feel like I totally drove in a gentlemanly way in this race. I could have pushed the issue a lot of times and didn't. Try to make the outside pass here. Let off a little bit. It's probably a good thing I did. There was no contact here. I was right on, but zero. That was not a push, just to let you know. There was no contact. And after the race, we DM'd back and forth. And Kevin realized that there was no contact. He said he got loose. And behind me I have Wilson. It was much faster down the straight. And he decided to not this lap, but the next lap. Oh yeah, it was this one. He showed the pass, so I changed my angle, trying to make room, and then I just lost it. I'll show that again. So I know he's coming, he's showing, so I'm trying to make room. So I took a way wider angle. It just I couldn't hold the angle. Even though I was trying to slow down, it just made me spin out. And then I waited. It may seem like I didn't wait. I actually waited. Another car goes by. I stopped there, and it didn't seem like he was going, so I decided to go. I wasn't being ungentlemanly. It just felt like I waited enough. It's time to go. If I wait any longer, both of us would be completely out of the race. So that was that one. And there's this one. So this is after the when I collected when I collected John. That's a tough place to pass. People show pass going in that corner at the end of the straight. Very dangerous place to pass. For me, the way to do it is you get a run behind somebody going into the turn, and then you pass them coming out. And that's what I pretty much tried to do in this race. Get a run on somebody and then pass them coming out of the turn, just like I did right here. And this way, it doesn't upset their race so much if I do that. Two cars going into a corner turn side by side generally aren't balanced. It's just a recipe for issues. But right through here, I got a huge run every lap. I love driving this car. It's so much fun. And by the way, smallest car on the track, it's actually smaller than the Porsche. I haven't checked weights, but I'm going to have to see if I can find a chart that shows the weights of the cars and the horsepower. I'd like to know those. I'd like to know those facts. I got up on the curb a little bit. I lifted off, and then I was going to pass here, and then I was like, see, I thought better of it. I lifted off, complete gentleman, because that's how I race in general. I race as a gentleman. I don't force issues and try and stick my opponents out to people will say that's racing. Well, I don't want to treat that guy that way. If they treat me like that way over and over, then guess what? Then I'm gonna make it hard on them. But I prefer not to race like that. One thing I really liked about this car, it had pinpoint steering. The steering in this car is so much fun. It felt like you were driving like an MG Midget or something like that. Or a Triumph. I love to drive one of these cars in real life. I am kind of surprised. One thing, they do make the English version of this car, and I think the steering wheel is on the right, not on the left. And I have searched around on the internet. You can't seem to buy these cars in the United States. You rarely, almost never see them. Something happened behind me there. I don't know what. Watch my mirror. He just kind of disappears there, and then I have two guys battling in front of me. I take advantage of that position. It's early in the straight, plenty of time for me to move up and capitalize. Take the spot, fair pass. I had a lot of passes in this race. A lot of passes. And I had a lot of action. Some people I passed twice, 2 or 3 times in the race. But I'd take 3 steps forward and then 4 steps back. Very frustrating race for me because I think I was doing 159. What did one? I'm trying to think the fast lap. What was it? I can't remember now. 146. I had gotten several laps in 146s, and that would have got me easy top 10. I mean, he's in top 10 for qualifying, top 12. And if I had been in the top 12 in qualifying, my whole race would have been different. Completely different than this. And when the qualifying happened, I couldn't find a gap. It was constantly somebody in the way or somebody faster on me. It just was absolute hell trying. I couldn't get a lap, my fastest lap, and because I couldn't find a gap. My fastest lap was 158 something in qualifying. I might as well not even qualify at all. It was just a complete waste of time. And extreme frustration in the qualifying session. Like, I was trying to be patient, but I knew I was so much faster, and I just like this, I was just hung up behind people constantly. And I didn't want to force them or push them into mistakes. I just don't want to race like that. It's not my nature. Also, the thing is, you try and force somebody in a mistake into going into a corner, and say if you don't have the position and they turn into you, then that's safety. You have contact. You could have contact, lose safety rating, plus lose your penalty on your licenses for this league. So, as always, I'm very careful. I think since March, the entire time I've been in this league, I've hit people in the actual races 5-6 times, if that. That's including times I've spun out. But people in front of me, it's like maybe I've hit 4 or 5 people tops in front of me. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. When you're a sim race car driver or a real race car driver, you're responsible for everything that you could see in front of you. You're in the other guy's blind spot most of the time, and he's relying on you not to carry on safely. And a lot of people don't get that in sim racing. Everything that you see in your eyes, you're responsible for. You can't be responsible for the guy behind you. You have to trust him to also be responsible. It's a very simple rule, and when people argue about how incidents happen, the incidents are very simple to figure out who did wrong and who did right. If you run into somebody from behind in a blind spot, I don't care what lap they're on, what lap you're on, it's your fault. You're responsible for that. I don't even care if it's a blue flag person. If you're that much faster than the blue flag guy, find your way around. If they're holding their line, what's the problem? You should run into them. Which was a controversy last week. I got run into from behind. I was a blue flag car going into a blind corner person was blind to me behind me and ran me over and then got pissed off at me. And the same person ran into me on a straight back in December from behind and then blamed me. And I was like all the way over on the track. I don't pull that. That's just bullshit. Complete bullshit. You're running into somebody else, it's on you. Just like, say if you're driving out to the store on a Sunday and you run into somebody from behind, whether they're going too slow, too fast, whatever they're doing, you're behind them. It's the same rule applies to regular driving as it does racing. It's your penalty with insurance or whatever if you hit somebody that's in front of you. Just like this, I decided to let off on here. I let off rather than risk it. I don't want to take a chance on impairing his race at all. And that's the difference between being a selfish racer, someone that's selfish and just, hooray for me, I'm going to put it in that gap no matter what the cost is, and take a chance of wrecking the other guy, rather than laying up a little bit and giving them a chance to collect themselves. Also, I feel like if I race like this behind people, I gain their respect and trust, rather than just run them over like a lemming. Which I see a lot when I watch races online. People running people over. And then they're like, oh, slow guy, right? No, slow guy my ass. Learn how to race. Learn how to drive a car properly. You don't race. You don't drive your car like that on the interstate. In real life racing, if you run into somebody from behind, it's your fault. And if you run into them enough times, you'll be losing your dentures on the ground eventually. Now you can see. Look, watch my mirror. Watch my mirror. To the left. You see it comes into view. I closed the door, but I relied on him to back off there. If he didn't back off, possibly both of us would have gotten taken out. So, thank you, Mr. Hoop J, for racing me respectfully there, just as I had done with you the previous laps. You see, just it's been non-stop passing in action. And it felt like I had passed so many cars. It felt like I should be like way farther up in the grid, but this wasn't. This was still for like, I don't know. I worked my way up to 20th. Had my incident where I went into the turn and overcooked it, and then fell all the way back to like last place or somewhere in there, or next to last, and then worked my way back up to like, I don't know, 33 or somewhere in there, 33rd. I'm not even sure. But it felt like I should be. I passed so many cars. It felt like I should be way higher. And then by the end of the race, my tires were pretty much gone. And with about 3 laps left, I had an issue, and then I just pretty much my race was over at that point. I carried on. I had a thought when I had my 3rd issue that I was like, time to pack it in, but I stayed in the race. And if something happened like between like that last 3 laps where I thought about ending my race, I would have been annoyed with myself, because I kind of have a rule like 3 screw-ups and you're done. That's basically my rule of thumb. Here I'm behind Molesky, and I don't have the passing power on the straight. I could keep up with him and gain huge in the corners. But he was so much faster in the straight. Well, I had a pretty good run on him here, but I think if I jumped out, I don't think I would have had the passing power to get by him. And I didn't want to take a chance of having him have the same thing that happened to me earlier, where he gets left to the outside. I didn't want to do that. Thought I had him here. When I get to the bridge, I could have stayed on it. I lift out. You can hear me get off the gas there, because I didn't want to take any chances once again. And his braking points, our braking points were so much different that it was really. I was trying to be patient, but at the same time, it was a bit of a struggle. And when you're used to a certain pace and you start driving slower and your pace gets all messed up, it's like a recipe for disaster. Well, one thing I could say is I'm sure Mike's SA went way up. My SA went up from like 93 to 97 in this race, which was great. Looks like he hit the curb there. It seemed like it was a pretty clean race. You know, I only saw what was in my view. I only saw the one incident where in a really tough corner, someone tried to make a pass. Oh, that was close. Managed to hold on to that and still come out of the turn even. Once again, I could have pushed the issue through here, but I decided to let off. And I think at this point he's gonna let me go. And I overcooked the corner. I wasn't sure where he was gonna be. And now, once again, all the positions I just worked for, right there, gone. 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. And here we are again. It feels like deja vu. Can't ask for more action though. Amount of action was just out. I backed out here. Now there was an incident right in that spot between I think it was Hoop J and Deer Love, and guy pushed it right through there and ended up taking it in the quarter panel. That's decision making. You know, you have to do at that point. Like, do I want to try and pass here? Because the angle there is not good. Fun race. I've never had a race that was so much fun and so frustrating at the same time. And a lot of the frustration is due to my own mistakes, of course. By now, you know, one spin out off on the grass, and then that thing on the sand there. So my tires are starting to feel it. But I noticed in Discord afterwards, Andy was like, my SA went way up. Yeah, all this close racing, like, it was great. And this goes back to saying about the multi-class racing. I think the GT4 car should be implemented more in an overall series and leagues. And multi-class racing should be a thing. The excitement level of that would just be crazy. The only thing is people need to learn, you know, work on their passing and realize that you can't just plow over people because you're in a faster car. And really, the argument is, oh, GT racing, nobody's going to want to drive the GT4 car. Well, then what you do is you put Group 3 all in the GT4 car, and then anybody else that wants to drive it can race it. And that's how people that are faster will learn how to pass, because you have more opportunities for passing. More opportunities for close racing. And that's how people improve. You see, it just goes on lap after lap after lap. All these cars packed into a group. I took the turn right there wide because I knew he was shallow, and if I had stayed right behind him, I would have rear-ended him. So I went far wide in the chicane, coming out of the chicane. And right about now, Andy's probably getting about sick of me. And I think probably by now he realizes I'm not going to, pretty safe bet that I'm not going to punt him. We ran together probably about at least 5 to 10 laps. And this is where I binned it. This was the end of my race right here. I didn't quit right there, but it might as well be in the end because. And right now, I was sitting there contemplating: should I quit? And then I decided, nah, I'm gonna keep going. I'll finish it out. That was the end of my race. It was extremely action-packed, and I would have to say, even despite my horrible finishing place, this race had so much action, and I had the actual potential to do well in this race, which added to this being satis. It's like carrot and a stick. Here's your carrot, nom nom nom. while while you're at it, here's a stick over the head a couple times for your screw ups. But at the end, I felt like, oh man, such opportunity I had to do well. It's squandered, but at the same time, I had an absolute blast. Like, so much fun. This should have been done a long time ago, this GT4 racing on a Saturday with a full group like this. I just have to figure out how to learn how to qualify better, find a gap. Hope everyone enjoyed the race in this video as much as I did. Have a good day. Bye bye. I really do these kind of videos of my own driving, but it just was so much fun I had to.